What is up, everybody? It is Saturday. Then this episode is going to come out Monday, the 10th. Happy Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you're asking yourself, hey man, what? Did you say something about men's mental health? Yeah, I didn't know either. And I feel like I have like my finger on the pulse of a lot of current things. Although I don't watch TV very often. I heard about this on a podcast, actually, when a couple dudes were talking about being good dudes. And they said that it was Men's Mental Health Month. So here we are, and we're going to run with that because I think it's, number one, it ties into today's episode just by chance. And number two, let's talk about it the rest of the month. Today's episode is with Dustyn, my old friend. Him and I go way back. This is a long one, so I'm going to keep this intro real short because this is a long talk. But you really need to listen to every minute, because every minute has something important, some sort of lesson or revelation or win or something between him and I. So I think it's important for everybody to hear. Especially about towards the tail end of the first segment. So what's going to happen is I'm back recording episodes on the phone. You're going to hear the first segment. I think he's going to reveal something about 5 minutes left in the first segment that you're going to be like, wait, what? And then we're going to talk about it. But then you're going to hear the helicopter fly by in the middle because we need to pick up segment 2. My phone will only record in hour increments, so that's what you're going to hear. Outside of that, I want you to do for me, so I was going through the analytics, and I'm about 50-50 men and women listeners, and I think that's great. I appreciate every listener, man or woman, and I know that this month is going to be more towards, men's mental health. And whatever that means, I think we need to treat it just like we treat our metabolic health and our physical health and our emotional health, and I don't know that we even know how to do that. I certainly don't, but what Dustyn and I decided was that maybe we just need to ask the simple question, hey man, you good? How are things? Right? And what most of us expect is the answer, yeah, I'm good, man, I'm fine. And so we go on about our lives, right? We just assume that each of us are doing well, because we've said, no, man, I'm fine. But what do we do when somebody says, hey, if you ask them the question, they're like, "Hey, are you doing okay? Everything good?" And they come back and they say, "You know what, man? No, I'm in some shit right now, and I don't know how to get out." And then that's when, like, we're like, "Oh shit, didn't see that coming." Like, now what do I got to say, or what do I got to do, and what do I even know about helping that person? Well, I think the next logical question would be, "All right, man. Is there something I can do to help you? What is it that I can give you? Can I give you an ear? Can I give you somebody's name and number? Is there a problem that I can help you solve, or whatever the case? You just gotta take the next step instead of being like, oh shit, man, I gotta go, right? Because that's kind of what we do sometimes, especially when it comes to each other. So here's what I want you guys to do. If you guys will do it, I want you guys to pick five dudes, men that you don't talk to near often enough, and maybe you've lost contact with them over the last couple of years, or you claim that your life is just too goddamn busy to pick up a phone and have a conversation with somebody. I want you to text them, and I just want you to write, hey, just checking in, hope all is well. Okay? You don't want nothing. You're not asking for anything. You're just checking the welfare of a fellow man. And I would imagine that most people, if you send 5, you might get 2 back, and that's fine too, right? Like that's cool. Hopefully you get all 5 back. And if you get that random one that says, man, I appreciate you reaching out. Things aren't well. Things aren't going good. Don't ghost the conversation. Just call that person and say, hey, what's up? I don't know how to answer. I don't know how to solve your problems, but I'll help you figure it out, because we're all just one I'm fine away from. How often does that story go when you don't see things coming, whether it's a suicide or a school shooting or whatever? They seem fine, they're acting fine, and all of a sudden, bam, they're not, and then that's the end of it. So we're just one question away, I think, from saving people from a bad decision or a bad choice. And if we're not, we're at least connecting more with each other. Because I ain't gonna lie, like sometimes it's tough to be a dude, right? And I get it. Like there's I think that the mainstream media sometimes makes it seem like it should be real easy. I mean, what do you got to do? I mean, for shit's sakes, you're not a woman. Like you don't have to put up with all that shit, whatever that shit is. But I think if you listen to Dustyn's episode, that's gonna relate to more of us than what you think. So keep your ear out for that. On Instagram this week, I'll post hopefully daily. Just reminders to each other that we need each other, and that whatever you think you're doing, whatever you think's going on out there, and this goes for the women too, you're probably not alone. There's really not a problem out in the world that hasn't been solved yet. We just need to realize that we're not the only one with that problem. So that's all I got today. You know how to reach me if you need to reach me. Next week, I think I'm solo. I think we'll do an episode on tattoos, EMS, public safety tattoos. I'll go through the history of all mine, and then that came up because this episode with Dustyn actually gave me an idea for a new tattoo. So I'll put somewhere in the show notes where you guys can tell me where you guys get your tattoos done, and then I can figure out where I'm going to go from there. But if not, I'm also looking for an estate lawyer. I think we need to talk about what happens to get our shit around. Not only for our parents, but for us. And I'm going to reach out to a couple other people that I want to talk to. So stay tuned. But this one will get you. So listen to it all. I know it's long, and I'm sorry for that. But do it like a book. Just take it in chapters. But make sure you listen to the entire thing. That's it. Work hard. Be kind. Bye. All right, man, here we are again. Take two. Sorry about last time.
Hey, it was a good conversation.
I did say that in this week's episode where it was like, or last week's, it was, I think for the weaker mind, they would have said, you two jackasses couldn't figure out how to do a podcast on your phone. And that was true. But I think the bigger picture was you and I got to talk.
Yeah.
Which has been... How long?
Long time coming.
Since you and I have ever sat down and had a conversation. Since we've hung out in the same station.
I would say it's probably...
Or thrown a few text messages or whatever. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Anything of substance was same station a decade ago.
Oh, way longer than that.
Yeah.
If you think... It doesn't seem that long, but it has been. It's been that long. And so, when I walked in, I brought you a gift last time. Right,
hang in my office.
Right, and yeah. I see that you presented me a gift this time, and I appreciate that. I don't know how I feel about it. It doesn't go with black very well,
green,
or green. Thank you for reminding me about the green.
You're welcome.
But I do appreciate that. However, you also know that I like to one up people.
Oh yeah.
So I brought you another gift.
Oh God.
Yeah. Because I don't like to be outdone.
I'm absolutely going to put this on my suit.
You got Velcro that it'll stick to?
Oh yeah, they got it's the same shape as our Unity Point patch.
Is it on the left side?
Yeah.
We don't have the Velcro on that, so we're I guess the new flight suits are going to come with a Velcro for that. I put them on my.
I love it.
I put them on my weight vest.
That's a nice looking patch.
It is a good looking patch.
I don't know who designed it, but kudos.
There's another version. It says it's got a 2 in the middle, and it's for Knoxville.
Yeah. So you got to collect them all.
There's only 2. You got to collect them all. We'll start with one, and we'll see We'll see if you earn a second one. I have another one at home.
Okay.
But I figure we'll start with one.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's dig in. I think that we were a little disheartened last time about the conversation was lost basically in technology. But the context was great, and I left here, I was real fired up when I left here. Like, it was great. And I tried to, last week, cover some of that stuff, on my own, which is different than having a conversation.
I gave it a listen.
Yeah, was the audio sucked?
No, it was good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Some other people had problems. They're probably those iPhone bastards. Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have an Android. I'm on an island.
Mine works just fine.
But today, knowing that we were going to come here and do it again, I was extra saucy. Like, I was fired up. Like, it was, I think now we know, like, how to flow the conversation.
Sure.
And what we really want to talk about, which is, I want your story out there on how you evolved from little punk wearing your hat backwards, driving did you have a Sunfire?
I wish. Couldn't afford the Sunfire. I had to get the Sunfire Light and the Cavalier.
The Cavalier, that's right. The Chevy Cavalier. Right. You know, with your fitted hat on backwards. To now where you are now, which is the Associate Dean of Health,
Science, and Fitness.
Fitness. And by fitness, you mean, like, surely not CrossFit, because it's been a while, it looks like.
No CrossFit.
Are you fitnessing these days?
I try. I do my best, but it's a pretty busy life I lead. Which is an excuse. I'm fully admitting it's an excuse.
It is. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Is that fitness like exercise science?
Yeah. Sports management, running a gym if you wanted to, personal training, coaching certificates, things like that.
Wow. Yeah. You really kind of leveled up.
Wow. I just help oversee it. There's people below my position that manage these programs because that's experts.
Yeah,
I really am just in a support role. I help them sort out problems. I'm a problem solver, right? That's where I think I fit into this. You and I were just naturally, our profession lends itself to being
problem solvers.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So that was the original intent.
Yeah.
Is I wanted your story out there. Like it's a great story. You came from humble beginnings, and we're going to still talk about that. But the real thing about it was the like mentally where you were in your career at a time that was very, very dark.
Yes.
And that came out in this conversation. Something I didn't know about you.
Yeah.
And so I think that this round, given that I just found out this morning that the month of June is Male Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Which is fine and dandy. I always shy like these awareness things, like they kind of bug me because we're bringing light to something, but are we offering solutions? Right? That's what I always think that when I see thoughts and prayers. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Thoughts and prayers.
This emoji.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's great and all, but is that a solution to somebody's problem? I don't know. I'm not saying it's. Did you get it? Like, I don't know how to articulate it. So we're going to bring awareness to men's mental health today. And we're going to talk about your story. And it's going to be great. And it's going to be wonderful. But when we leave here, and the people that listen to this, are they going to be left with, like, tools and solutions to figure it out? And maybe that tool or solution is two guys talking about how they weren't real, like, solid at some point in their life, and they had doubts and anxieties and darkness, and maybe just that in itself goes, fuck, I didn't realize that there was other people out there that felt the same. And that in itself is the tool and the awareness? Or are we saying, hey, listen, if you're having problem X, call this person or do this step?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of both. I think maybe in some show notes, some links to some helpful resources. As I talk through my example, I was thinking through this morning to drive in, and last night as I was driving home, in that there's not a roadmap that's going to fit for everybody because everyone's situations are unique, obviously.
Yes.
I think, to your point, people speaking about things freely, people that have historically, myself, kept these things very secluded, hidden, deep, dark secrets. Just flipping, the script a little bit and being willing to share something, to be vulnerable, and to do it boldly and without embarrassment and shame and the things like those dirty feelings that come along with a lot of those emotions, a lot of those experiences in your life. You don't want people to know about these parts of you. You only want to present, the sparkly, fascinating, fun parts of you. I've got a friend of mine that says no one wants to show their warts. Like, today we're going to show some warts. Yeah. And we're going to be okay with it.
It's an interesting, I like that guy's take on it. You're right. Everybody wants to hide the ugly parts. I was thinking about this a lot too. And so today I worked out with no music and no distraction so that I could, and I feel like sometimes I get really good ideas when I just am alone with my thoughts. So I coach my kids a lot mentally in sports, right? You got to be mentally tough. And so when we're in this job, I feel like there's a line somewhere, like a middle ground, where I have to be mentally tough. So there's some things that happen and you're just like, listen, man, you just got to deal. You just got to go with that and move on. We need to get through this. And then there's well, I don't know that I can now, right? Like, where is the line between, at some point we kind of do need to be a little mentally more resilient. And then there's times when we need to be like, show the warts.
Yeah. And
I don't know, because I am kind of a black and I don't know if I'm a black and white. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There comes a time where you got to sack up and just pull yourself up by the testes or the ovaries and be like, yeah, I got to go on another flight and it's going to suck. Versus, I need to tell somebody about this.
I think it's a. You almost said the word. I think you almost said I got to deal with it. In
sure.
The previous statement, and you went away from it. I would say that's a good segue into exactly where I'm at with my story today. Is I came to appreciate how much I was not dealing with.
Yeah.
I was doing just what you said. I was encountering life. Life is messy. But what I was doing was pushing it aside and moving on.
You didn't know at the time you were doing it? Because we're just doing it, right?
Yeah, part of you knows you're not dealing with it because it comes up in weird ways. It manifests in some obscure ways sometimes, and sometimes it really shows itself for what it really is. And just not dealing with it, thinking, I'll just move on. It's going to be easy, right? But at some point, these things are all just kind of hanging out in the background.
You got to block it out. Like your first at bat, you struck out. You got to get out. It's got to get out of your head, and it can't affect your next at bat, right? Like
in the short term.
Okay.
Long run.
That's where I'm missing it. Yeah. You think?
I don't know if you're missing it necessarily, but that's where my example maybe will help other folks in that you can't just keep pushing stuff aside. At some point, there's this capacity that each of us has. And it may look different for different people. My capacity was full. And I was trying to cram more and more and more ugly stuff into this closet, if you will, for a visual. And one day that closet door just gave. Those hinges burst and stuff came out.
Do you think that there's a definition of stuff? Like, do you think that there's a definition of you and I have certain responsibilities as men of households, of providers, of a service, of fathers to children? Like, that is all stuff that we have chosen, in my opinion, or it was chosen for us to do. And that comes with a certain amount of responsibility and a certain amount of fortitude.
I think there's categories of stuff.
Okay.
Personal life stuff, work stuff. And maybe those are the two categories, and then from there you kind of branch out. And I think that's where my story, there's so many, everything's intertwined.
Let's start with your story.
Let's dive in.
I met you because you moved to Iowa from Missouri, and you're son of a preacher. Was your parents already in Iowa when you moved up here?
Yeah, so son of a preacher, moved around a bunch as a kid. I tell people I'm from St. Louis. That's where I spent in that region between one side of the river or the other in Illinois or Missouri. I spent a lot of my childhood, formative years in that area. Moved around a bunch though, and as an example of that, in 4 years of high school, freshman through senior, I went to 5 different school districts, just constantly on the move. And as we're talking about this, that is where you can take this all the way back, and I think it's worth mentioning. We didn't talk about this in the last version of our conversation, and I think that was a mistake. And for the sake of brevity, I'll just say that my childhood was rough.
Okay.
It was very rough. And my dad wasn't always a pastor. Bounced around positions for a long time, different jobs, and the stresses of that. And there was times when we were unemployed as a family or underemployed as a family, and we lived with other families. didn't have a home of our own. So you think about as a kid what that
Yeah.
does to you. And then you're constantly moving around. You don't have a chance to kind of put down those roots in those formative years. Home life, your parents are real tough on you. And I think you can pick up what I'm putting down.
Sure.
There's this image, people say, oh, your dad's a pastor. And there's like that show Seventh Heaven, where it's like this picturesque house, and it's like the soft music playing in the background. And there's some version of, this light turmoil, and they resolve it, and everyone hugs at the end.
Always a picture of Jesus on the wall.
Yeah, and then there's what I experienced, right?
Yeah.
And that was maybe, Footloose, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to bookend those with some things that maybe are pop culture, very
The original Footloose, not the remake.
not the garbage, that's
Sure,
recycled nonsense. Yeah, it was very tough, physically, mentally, emotionally, just tough. All right, so I wasn't good at dealing with stuff. I was not given an example in my daily life of what it looks like to handle things responsibly with positive outcomes as the goal. You could deep dive the psychology of like emotional brain and logical brain and how we move through stimulation and respond, or stimulation, sit on it for a second and respond.
And then add to the element of you're an underdeveloped brain as a 16, 17, 18-year-old boy, male, which comes with its own.
Right.
Even if you're in a quote-unquote healthy, like that brain is real unhinged.
Yeah. I mean,
You're an emotional...
You're setting bad habits.
Yes, you react emotionally to things. You speed when you shouldn't. You dive into things when you're not supposed to. Like you take risks that are unnecessary. Yeah. In a healthy child, and then add other hardships on top of that that surely can't be. That's not a recipe for a good cookie.
No, and this, as I tell my story, a lot of these things, you can look back at these details. You go, man, I can really see it now. You look at the whole story on a spectrum, and you're like, yeah, it really does start way back there. Things started getting shoved into this closet.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. So moved around a whole bunch. My folks moved to Iowa. I was out of the house at a very young age, self-sufficient, living in an absolute dive of an apartment in the St. Louis metro area. We'll say it was horrible, but it was my apartment. I was kind of free, liberated to do what I wanted to do, and I didn't really know exactly what direction my life was going to take. I'll back this up just half a step. I knew I wanted to do something in public service, and that moment for me was my sophomore year of high school. I was in a car with a friend in rural Iowa, or Illinois rather, in really rural Illinois, heading to spend the weekend at his house with his folks, just to kind of chill. And 2-lane highway, and a truck coming at us dips across the center line. I think the guy was maybe falling asleep or was distracted, overcorrects, his outside tires touch the gravel, he spins, hits our car, hits the car behind us. Ours was decently damaged, but we were okay. And he chucks it in the ditch, rolls several times, wads this small pickup truck into an even smaller pickup truck around him. So I get out, and I'm staring at this guy, and he's bleeding, he's hunched over the steering wheel, he's unconscious, and I'm like, I know, I feel compelled to do something, but I have no idea what to do. I'm not equipped for this, and that helpless, hopeless feeling, it's like, holy smokes, I never want to be in this position ever again. I feel compelled to do something for him, and I don't have the tools or the capacity to do something.
Helpless.
Yeah, and it wasn't a great feeling. So like, okay. And then I watched fire and EMS and law enforcement and all these services converge and deal with this, and I was like, yeah, man, there's something there. So I didn't know. My initial thought was maybe law enforcement. So out of my house, back into the somewhat present. Out of the house, living in this shitty apartment in St. Louis, and I went to community college. And I originally enrolled in a criminal justice program, and those classes sucked. Nothing against, if you have law enforcement friends that listen to this, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't my fit.
Yeah, sure.
But they had an EMS program, and I was like, okay, we'll give that a go. So I took the EMT program at St. Louis Community College and had every intention of enrolling in the paramedic program right after. Come to find out, there was a wait list and somewhat of a competitive process to be accepted. You had to have 100 hours of documented time as an EMT, 100 patient transports, and I was like, man, I don't want to wait. I'm impatient. I'm impulsive.
Sure.
To your earlier point.
I'm
on
your team.
At the time, to be fair to myself, even I was working a shitty job. I was working as a guy that was loading trucks at a lumberyard. I think I was making like $6 an hour. It was terrible. St. Louis humidity, heat, loading trucks in a warehouse that is not air conditioned all day long, doors and windows and shit like that. So I wanted out. I wanted out bad. So
this was your ticket. And this was the way to go.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
you could see that, but there was something holding you back. We talked a little bit last time about like my biggest piece of advice to people is to work as a basic first.
Yeah.
And then because I think it lends to getting your emotional intelligence in check, and like the first time we can have a whole show on this.
Yeah.
Like I think that my plan worked for me because we always think we're always special. Like
Sure.
my way is you, but it's not like.
Yeah.
But man, the first time you go somewhere and you see something like this fellow that you witnessed in like as an EMT basic, that's a big deal. And then if you were to go, if that was your first patient to encounter as a paramedic with no EMS response at all, could you? Right?
No,
like,
yeah.
how do you feel? But then we talk about, well, then there's people like me because I needed a way out of what I wanted. There's people like AJ who, if they would have put those stipulations on him,
Right.
how he probably would have, like, great paramedic,
Yeah.
never maybe would have seen it because he had to jump through more hoops
Right.
to get there.
Unnecessary hurdles.
And totally understand. The point being is that our way is not necessarily the best way. Your way, the listener, is going to be your way.
Sure.
And there's going to be lessons to learn in each one of those paths.
And an example of that exactly is the very first call I ran as an EMT in Iowa. I was in paramedic school, and that transition from Missouri into Iowa is kind of a funny little happy accident, but it was you and I, and it was a very benign call. Thrust into service as an EMT. I might have been on 2 or 3 other calls as an EMT before this, but this one just sticks with me. And we're talking 18 years ago. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time. And this one call is like burned into my memory.
Yeah.
I remember looking at this old boy with a broken hip or dislocated hip or something.
Yep.
Farmer, real Rudy kind of person in pain. And you and I are transporting this guy to the hospital, and I've got the clipboard in my hands, and I've managed to write down his first and last name, and I just vapor locked. I was like, all these things are racing, and I need to do all of these things, but everything was just getting kind of log jammed in my mind, and there was just too much input, and there was nothing coming out in action.
But none of which you could do because we were basics.
Sure, but I mean, I didn't do anything. Not do anything.
We did. None of us
really
did.
didn't do anything. We transported this guy, and I was like, man, that's an interesting feeling I just experienced.
Right, and because the highest level on our ambulance at the time was an EMT intermediate, which for those that don't know the history of EMS in Iowa, we came up with a lot of different levels of EMS, man, and some of it was, because we have some poor counties,
sure,
but you need services, right? So how can we staff an ambulance at the least and still provide service, and some of it rightfully so. But the point being is, we had a guy on our ambulance that could start an IV, and this guy's basically pulled his hip out of his socket. And so we had to figure out how to load him. And I think one of the things that hurts us in EMS is they don't really teach you in school how to interact with people.
No.
Because they teach us the worst of the worst.
Sure.
But you could argue 60, 70% is not the worst of the worst.
Right.
It's interacting with people. Hi, my name's Jason. What's going on? What happened? Now I got to figure out how to get your dislocated hip from the ground into our ambulance so we can bump your ass all the way down to Des Moines so we can get you some real help.
I tell students this all the time, and that people don't know, the general public don't know the difference between a great paramedic and a good paramedic. They don't know our protocols. They don't. No. They will remember you if you were mean to them.
Yep.
That's their mark of this person's good at their job or not good at their job.
If you were nice.
If you had a really, really, what we would say is objectively maybe a poor performing paramedic, but they had those people skills. Yeah, that's what the general public, I feel, remember as this person's amazing.
They made me feel special. They were nice to me. They were.
My problem mattered.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if you give the right medicine at the exact right time to prevent their airway from closing off. or you got the IV on the first stick, they will remember your transport by, oh, those guys were so nice.
Or if you do that exact thing where you said the medication at the right time to keep their airway from closing
They have zero idea that you did
but
it.
you're an asshole.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, this guy is terrible at his job.
How was your ride to Des Moines? It was terrible. That guy was a jerk.
Yeah. No, you're welcome for not being dead. Right? It didn't make you feel good, so that's what you're going to remember, and fairly so. That's
It's a customer service.
Yeah.
We forget the point of our jobs is customer service.
Yeah.
We're there to solve your problem.
Right.
And we're going to do it the best way that we know how. And if you're fumble effing, like if we would have dropped this guy
Sure.
and made it worse, but then gave him pain medicine afterwards to make it better, what's he going to remember?
Yeah.
Those assholes dropped me.
Right.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, we
Yeah,
digress.
so I digress.
We're going to digress a lot.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. We met
Yep.
in school. You moved to Iowa.
Yep.
You got in the paramedic program.
Yep.
You and I walked into the same class the first day. Didn't know each other.
26 of us,
30
of us,
some.
something.
And then they tell us right off the bat, hey, listen, and I'd forgotten this, but you're like, hey, look around because only a third of you are going to be here.
I was like, what in the hell did I sign up
at
for?
the end of this.
Yeah.
And so we're looking around going, unfairly judging people, going, you're out, you're out, you're out,
I mean,
you're out.
After lunch, two dudes didn't come back.
There's-
Like this was.
You
this
would have
was
thought this was a Navy SEAL program for
Yeah.
shit's sakes.
SEAL Team 6 EMS.
And then, so we were shooting the shit. And we found out we both live in the same town, mere blocks from each other.
Yeah.
We're like, Eureka! We can carpool. I mean, we had some good conversations, and we did well. We get through school.
Yep.
We'll fast forward. Out of 30-some, 6 of us are standing. 6 of us are left.
Yep.
We're out doing jobs now. We get jobs. I got on with my local EMS service, and you, if I'm missing anything, go back, but pick it up from there.
Yeah, so I was working part-time for 2 county services, right near each other. I got a job partly because I did my preceptorship with this other county EMS service. So they gave me a part-time job as a paramedic, and that transitioned into a full-time job. But I met my wife, actually. I had every intention of going back to St. Louis. I did not want to stick around. Iowa was not for me. I missed my friends, and some of my family were still
Oh, so
around.
you wanted to go back?
I had every intention. I went back down and applied for jobs like crazy, and I had a couple of promising leads. People said, hey, once you get your medic, come back down. And I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get an email. I got nothing. I mean, I went down there in person and applied, took these tests, and I don't know how I did on them because they don't tell you, but I expected at least a few of them might come through, and none of them did. So, well, I'm gonna stick around to Iowa, and I've got two gigs. At this point, I was working part-time for both those county services, stitching together a full-time. At that point, you can't see me. I'm air quoting with my fingers, a full-time living, working county EMS.
Which is typical for a lot of us. We had multiple jobs back
Yeah.
then. We had to, A, because of the pay, and B, because we had a lot of time off. It lended.
Yeah, so I found myself anchored in Iowa when I met my wife on an EMS call. She's a first responder for one of the small towns that our county service responded to, and we got called for a guy with chest pain. I'm a paramedic at this point, newly minted, right? I'm going to show the world what's what. I've
Smartest guy on the planet
got it
right now.
figured out.
Fuck yes.
I'm going to hit you with the razzle dazzle, and there's going to be smoke as I enter the room, and
Don't worry, people. Here I come.
Yeah, I'm going to save you from yourselves, you simpletons. But it's just a very ego-driven point in my life. I walk in, old boy's got chest pain, sitting in his living room, and it's the typical cast of first responders plus one. This short brunette, real tight curls in her hair, and she's holding an oxygen bottle, wearing green scrubs and a black leather jacket.
Oh,
I know, again, those formative moments that just
Man,
seared into your brain, man.
green scrubs and a black leather jacket.
Yeah, holding an
Bold
oxygen bottle.
choice.
Yeah. So, and I fall apart. I was not prepared to, in a room full of the typical, older first responders. I see this young, attractive female. Yeah. And now it's like, holy smokes, I got to perform. And,
shit.
My primal brain is on full overload right now.
Man, I hope my mane is combed.
I can't get words out of my mouth. I'm stumbling over myself. I can't put together a cohesive sentence. Give this dude any of the attention that he needs. And at one point, honest to God, he looks over at me and asks me if I'm okay.
Why? Were you sweaty?
Yeah, it's just like you're having a heart. He was having a heart attack. You're having a heart attack. and you're like, I need help. And I'm the guy that showed up, and he had to have been thinking, dear God, this is it.
Performance anxiety,
I'm
bro.
about to come, the pearly gates are in my future. This is the guy that's going to
Nobody else on that truck can help me?
He asked me if I'm okay. I was like, all right, Dusty, you got to pull it together.
Yeah.
But I must have, done something right, because we're in the station the next day, and I'm telling you, I'm recalling this story to you, and in walks a mutual friend of ours who was on that first responder service. And I was like, hey, that chick up there, that first responder, what's the story there? And he was like, listen, she sent me to come down here and talk to you. And I was like, oh, we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
So give me your number. He goes, nope, I'm going to give her your number, and if she wants to call you, she will. And I was like, well, that's not how this works.
That's ass backwards.
Yeah, I was like, listen here, fella.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how it works in my world.
He wouldn't budge.
No.
So he gives her my phone number, and then I find out after the fact she legitimately was busy. She was working as a CNA and going to school. Didn't call me for like 2 weeks. It's like, man.
Playing hard to get?
Hurts. So now I kind of let off with this, but she's my wife. We're married we just celebrated 15 years. So we start dating. I settle down, obviously, and I'm working these part-time jobs, and I got a full-time gig with the northern of the two counties, and we get married, buy a house, and things are going pretty good, I think, generally. And
American dream.
Yeah, you're doing it. And then kind of life happens. We got pregnant, and we were very excited starting our family. And again, you just feel like you're on top of the world, and as happens, the rug gets pulled out, and we lost that pregnancy.
Oh,
right. So again, more stuff. I am absolutely ill-equipped to handle this. Right, from back to what my example was growing up, my home life. I did not have a lot of positive interaction with people in those formative years to teach you how to handle adversity, to give you that resilience, to give you the coping skills of, you can't just keep ignoring stuff. You have to work through it. You got to lean into the ugly stuff sometimes and submit yourself to the help of others.
And some of that is trial by fire, right? Like there is no, I don't know how to, my wife had a miscarriage too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. I can't help myself.
Right.
How in the hell am I going to help this woman? And it's very different for women. I'm going to be right here, right now. I felt pain nowhere close to the feelings that she was going through.
Sure.
And
I don't know that anybody could teach us that. Like you think you had some drunk uncle who's right? And listen, boy, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. If your wife has a miscarriage, this is how you handle it.
No, sure. There's no playbook for that.
Right.
Especially as a 20, I don't know how old I was, a long time ago. But you hit on it earlier, emotional intelligence, right? Yeah. That's something that I did not have. Absolutely not. My EQ in the basement, right? I did not have any capacity for working through things in a way that was healthy or helpful. It was just ignore. It was suppress. It was, all about me at that time, impulsiveness, all those ugly things. They're really kind of just running my life, right? And it was a very strange thing for me to wrestle with because I was good at helping other people.
Yeah.
I couldn't help my wife.
No.
Couldn't help myself. You put me in a situation where somebody is having the worst day of their life, I will get them through it to the best of my abilities, right? And objectively, this is, can come off a little bit egomaniacal, but I was good at it. Yeah. Right? Why was it not good at this? Right? And we talked about this in our last conversation. We are emotional beings, but in our professional lives, we have to be logical. That's our sweet spot. I can look at things and I can separate myself from the emotions of the environment.
We have to what's that word?
Compartmentalize. Yeah, yes. Exactly. But when it comes time to re-engage that emotional side of ourselves, man, I'm a ship at sea with no direction, and I'm just getting tossed around. It's kicking my ass, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah, so we lose that pregnancy, and it was a real low point, obviously. We recover as a family unit.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Son of a preacher, where were you in your faith at that time?
Nothing. I wanted nothing to do with God. God was nowhere even close to... I've always believed in God. At that point, it was an adversarial relationship, I think is the best way for me to put that. God is real. I have no doubt of that in my mind at any point in my life, really. I was very upset, right? And I blamed, and it's just that in itself is a real deep dive that I honestly haven't fully worked through yet myself, I suppose. So religion was not even a factor in my life. Okay. We had gone to church, with Lindsay's family, the Woomers and the Tumors, right? You go to Easter and Christmas service, and that's it, right? Yeah. So it's all just a front. Mm-hmm. You do it because it's the same reason why you open presents on Christmas morning, because it's tradition. Ceremonial, absolutely. No substance to it. So I started drinking, not real heavily, but that was kind of the thing that I did. Quiet my thoughts, distract myself with other stuff, work more frequently, right? These are things that we do to avoid confronting the ugliness.
The working more frequently is what I was thinking about this the other day. That was mine.
Yep.
If I was at home, I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do fatherhood, husbandry. Like, you don't know you're bad at marriage unless you try it, right?
Yeah.
And there was a point in my time where I was like, man, I'm really fucking bad at this.
Yeah.
I'll just go to my job.
Yep.
And I'll get another job.
Because that's what I'm good at.
And I'm providing something for my family. So I'm going to go make some money.
Yep.
Because that's what I'm good at. This back here, I have zero idea what the fuck's going on with all this chaos.
Yep.
But that person over there who's missed her dialysis for 2 days and now is septic with a high Ka and is probably snoring, I got that figured out.
And it's interesting as you say that, because there's a playbook for that.
Yeah.
I can follow it, right?
Yeah.
There's not a playbook for how to take care of another person, how to make yourself emotionally available for somebody else, and to be willing to expose yourself to their weight.
And what's human nature is to avoid the things that make us uncomfortable.
Boy,
right?
I was thinking about this morning on the way in.
We didn't know we were doing it.
We didn't know we were doing it. I've actually done some reading on this. It's that primitive side of us that, when an animal in a pack, right? We're pack creatures as humans.
Yeah.
When one of the pack is sick,
yeah.
In a lot of examples, they kind of get pushed to the fringe. They're marginalized because they don't want to infect the rest of the herd. Mm-hmm. And I think even that herd mentality is like, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to protect myself. Right? Yeah. So I'm going to kind of push you away and kind of keep you at arm's reach. And I was withdrawing, right? I knew that there was something in me. And so I was isolating myself. And at this point, just for my wife, right? I was choosing to, and it was some necessity, but I could have done it without it. I could have done without that money, but it was easier for me to dive into something that was familiar, that I knew I was good at, and I could kind of fulfill that part of me and completely ignore or push, aside dealing with that, now this loss of a pregnancy, right? So now we're talking about some childhood garbage that I never really dealt with, and now we have this significant life moment, never dealt with it. Okay, so we go through life a few more years, and not that long. It wasn't actually that long. We were pregnant again, and we have our son Mason, now 13. And at that point, Lindsay was working in the metro. I was working in the county, and I had gotten a job at a community college as a part-time instructor. And we had a kind of decision point where we looked at the financials of paying the mortgage, paying for 2 car payments, and paying the fuel, because we lived about an hour's drive one way from the metro. And what that looked like from a cost perspective of putting Mason in daycare and both of us continuing to work, or do we kind of tighten up the purse strings in some areas, and I would shoulder the rest of the financials, and my wife would raise our children, right? So we made that sacrifice. She put her career on pause to stay home and raise our son.
Easy there, Harrison.
It was tough.
But back then was like a legitimate thing. Like, it still is. Like, daycare is astronomical, I think, in my opinion. If you're only making $40,000 a year, but it costs you $35,000 to put your kid in daycare,
$36,000 a year is what I was making.
Son of a bitch, right? And then and I don't know what. Even if daycare was $30,000, you're telling me you're gonna do all that work and net $6,000 for the year? It's not worth it.
We did the math on it, and we were actually going to be losing money if she was going to work. It was a silly thing. By the time we ended up paying for her food and for her fuel and all those things, like we were net.
But good for you guys for putting the pencil and paper together, because I mean that's something you got to know. I think a lot of people just mindlessly go to their job because that's what they know, and maybe it's a distraction for them too. But the net result of that paycheck, maybe it's healthcare. Maybe you go to that job because the health insurance is real good, and I will never fault anybody for that, because good healthcare is hard to come by,
especially for men our age.
Yeah, it's hard to come by these days.
Important.
But anyway, go ahead. So,
so I'm
you're
working,
shouldering the load.
Yeah, so I'm working. She's staying home, and Mace was a tough baby. He was not a great sleeper. A lot of reflux issues. He would wake up. Man, I think if we stitched together 4 hours of sleep a night, we were lucky. That boy put us through our paces. And I'm working a lot of hours. I don't even know how many hours. A ton of hours between the 3 jobs now: 2 county service, EMS jobs, part-time teaching.
So you're not sleeping on your job, and then you're not sleeping at your house.
Nope.
So you're just not sleeping.
It's all just piling up. And again, I'm doing the things we talked about. I'm just grinding it out. And at that point in time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I'm the man of the house, and I'm virtuous in this example.
There's a certain amount of fortitude it takes
to
do what we do, and sometimes there's a suck involved.
And the daily chipping away at me personally. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just going through the paces, right? So one night I come off shift. It was a particularly hard day for Lynn's. Mace was really rough that day as far as just, he wasn't sleeping. He was fussy. And I remember walking into the house with my bag, walking past her, sitting in the recliner, holding Mason. And I don't even remember what it was that she said. We had an exchange, and it was kind of a curt exchange of words. And this house we lived in was like a 120-year-old house. It had central air conditioning, but it was 2 stories, and we had all these fans positioned to blow up, air upstairs to keep the upstairs cool. And I round the corner around the steps to go up to throw my bag in our room and shower and stuff, and we're continuing this conversation as we're kind of passing each other. And I get to the top of the stairs, and there's this fan there, and she said something to me, and it absolutely just ignited this part of me that I've thankfully since never experienced, but at that point I never experienced. People say, man, I was crazy with anger. And I've always kind of looked at, kind of skeptically, people say that, I was
blind rage,
or I was, when someone commits a crime and they're like, well, he was temporarily insane. I get it now. I pick up this fan and I hurl it down the hallway. And it was a long hallway with bedrooms kind of off each direction. And at the end was this, the wall. And I chuck this fan. It just instinctively, just this flash of rage. I pick up this fan and I throw it. And it's crashing down the hallway, hits the wall and explodes, puts a hole in the drywall. And she had Mason downstairs, but that was it hit the wall right outside Mason's door. And I had a moment where I was like, I was absolutely out of control. I have no idea where it came from, and the second it was there, it was gone. It was just flash, and it was just this instinctive thing that I did. And it was like, I can kind of almost visualize in slow motion, the anger and that blind rage is gone, and I see this fan bouncing off the carpet and smash into the wall into a bunch of pieces and damage my home. I was like, my God, I was completely out of control. What if Mason had been in his room, or had been, thank God I was the only one on that floor, because I don't know I was not in control of myself. I had no control over my body, over my emotions, over my actions whatsoever. That's frightening, terrifying, right? So this was that first time that I can distinctly remember I'm in trouble, right? But what did I do? Brushed it off, right?
Yeah, you got it out of your system, right? And you're like, ooh, fuck, that was close. I hope that never happens again. And then we just keep grinding. And so I've said this before, and this is one of my favorite things I've ever took out of a book, was 90% of male rage is helplessness masquerading as frustration. And so similar, I'm not going to go into my story because I've already told it. Similar episode.
Yeah.
Burst of rage, broken glass, fucking kids screaming.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at that moment. Now, I just came across this concept probably a year ago, maybe in a book I read. But like my football coach always said, hindsight's 50-50. I go back to that. In that moment, the reason why that frustration came out was because I felt helpless.
Yeah.
Like, here I was, tired as shit, with 2 small kids. My wife went to her job. I didn't know what to do. I have no fucking idea how to manage this.
Yeah.
And it was a benign event where my kids were just probably being kids, and I made a mistake.
Yep. Yeah, and so I made some feeble attempt, similar to your experience. I made some feeble attempt to explain to why my wife knew better. She knew I had this moment. And so that sort of put a barrier between us in some ways. And,
now she's got to walk on eggshells, man.
Well, and now,
my wife did the same shit. She's like, I don't know
so.
when you're going to be a dick or when you're not going to be a dick. So,
and there's being a dick, but this is legit, right? This is legitimate. You just did a thing that is now this violent outburst, and rightfully so. It would have been completely fair for her to say, are we safe?
Okay, but did you ever go back and say, okay, what were the factors? And I'm not justifying it, but
Sure.
Sleep deprivation is a big deal.
Yep.
Like that is
Financial stress beyond belief.
okay. So that's
having
a thing.
no idea how to be a father, right?
Okay, yeah.
And even as this story continues, my story continues to unfold. That was a big driver for where I found myself really in a bad, dangerous spot. In that I'm seeing things in myself now that my own father did, and I knew the outcomes there. I knew what that relationship looked like,
Yeah.
and I knew the things that he did to me as a result of a lot of probably the same things, same stressors, the same inability to cope, the same inability to manage, identify, stress, and handle things in a healthy way.
But now you have a template of what I don't want to be.
Right.
Okay.
And I see myself cruising down the super highway to this eventual end, right?
Yeah.
So we moved past this moment, and again, as life does, I had one particularly rough summer working county EMS. I was the kiss of death. Did not matter. It was like 7 or 8 calls, and they felt like in a row. They probably weren't, and in fact, I guarantee they weren't in a row. But those are the ones that stick out. Where one summer, I had 7 people die in the back of my ambulance or die shortly after dropping them off, and it wasn't. None of these things were mistakes that I objectively made. It was timing, right? Their injuries, their illness was just at that point. But I start to just fall down this dark pit, right? And this just being around death, being around people in their last moments and not dealing with it healthily.
The common denominator being you as a provider.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
it's hard to get over.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing that I've learned: Jesus is undefeated.
Yeah.
Right. So if he's going to take somebody, it doesn't matter what you do.
Sure.
Right. But we don't know that.
But I wasn't at any point in my
Our
life.
job was to stop that.
Yeah, and that was not a point in my life that I wanted anything to do with that.
I understand.
Right? This was not something that I was.
I understand.
For sure.
The common denominator being I'm in a slump.
Yep.
This is terrible. Like maybe I'm not the best person.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of the questioning that comes along with what if, right? The what if yourself to death on certain things. What if they called sooner? What if I had acted a little sooner? Was there something that I missed? Was there some
always
this constellation of symptoms that were there and I didn't see them?
There's a cascade of events that led to this moment.
Sure.
Yep.
But
how could I changed either one of those?
Being so close to death so many times in a row, it felt like being kind of just down in this, and then you couple that with raising a son and the financial constraints and. It was just a real low spot for me.
Because then you have to take that and go home and play catch with your kid.
Do you want to come home and play catch with your kid?
That's what I'm saying, but you've got to as a dad. Like, you've got to figure out how to... And this is something I didn't realize until one of my listeners brought it up to me. Like, but I did it. I was like, oh, how was your day, honey? I was fine. Nothing big. And I'm going to go outside and play catch with my kid after this just happened, after we just had a bad outcome.
Yeah.
And you're just playing catch with your kid like, it's just another day. And
yeah. But again, I would even, so sometimes you do it. Sometimes I would go home and have positive interactions on their face with my family, but I didn't want to. Yeah. I wanted to isolate. I wanted to feel sorry for myself. I wanted to just be alone. And not deal with stuff, right? Because again, I didn't feel like I was good at being a dad. I was not good at being a husband, and to be around them reminded me of that. Made me confront that of like, you don't feel like you're doing your son justice. You don't feel like you're being what your wife needs, who's just been at home with a kid all day long, having somebody to take care of, literally to keep them alive.
And we don't know what that is. We just think it's not us, right? I was thinking about this on the way, and maybe it was a conversation with my friend Malcolm on the way here, was I don't know what the example is. Like, so is Ward Cleaver the example of a good dad? I don't fucking know. Yeah. But I can tell you there's some shit that I've done that I have been able to reassess and go, that was not a good example of being a good dad. Right? And I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. And that is doing the things that are lashing out, acting out, yelling for no reason, isolation, not taking advantage of opportunity to do that kind of thing. And but you don't at the time. Point of this story is, at the moment, you are saying to yourself, listen, I don't know what being good at a husband and a dad is, but I'm not doing it.
Right. And coupling that with being afraid of the alternative, that constant image of this is what my childhood was like. And by God, for all the reasons I said I was never going to do this, here I am doing it. Yeah. And it terrified me legitimately, to the point where, Linz and I would fight. I did not feel good physically and mentally. It was just constantly exhausted. Yeah. I was not taking care of myself. I was not dealing with every single thing that was coming up. It was just getting pushed aside. And it got to the point where I was very close. Very close. I left the house. I had my handgun in the car. Yeah. And I went down to, I drove to the Saylorville spillway. And Jason, as I'm sitting here looking you in the eye, I was going to do it. I didn't want to do it in the house. I didn't want my wife to have to be around. I was going to kill myself. And because I did not want my son to experience the same things that I experienced. I was not feeling like anything I did mattered. In work, in my personal life, it felt like this overwhelming cascade of failures that was just buried me. And there wasn't this, I can't think of this epiphany. I sat there for 2 hours in this car. Jesus. And it was just weighing it all. I was like, how is this? I played it out in my mind. How's this going to look? Who's going to have to find me? Who's, is my son going to grow up to hate me because of this? Is my son going to grow up, okay without me? Is my wife going to hate me for this? All these things going through my mind. And thank God, literally thank God, I said, I have to get help. I've not tried help yet. And so I drove back home, and my wife helped me get into help.
What was the conversation when you got home? She asked you where you been?
That night, nothing. She had gone to bed. It was late. She had put Mace down, and I slept on the couch downstairs. And it was a couple of days, I think, before we actually had a conversation. But it was a mutual, we came to a mutual agreement, this is not working.
Do you think that, to go back, this is real heavy. Do you think that your justification for what you thought you were going to do was not because you yourself were a victim and that you were feeling bad for yourself, but that you were going to help your family out? Like you were trying to justify this by, they are better off if I am not here.
Yeah, in some ways. And it was that, and it was that married with, I'm doing so much damage. Yeah. And the damage that I'm doing is going to take so much work to undo, and I just don't know if I have the energy for it. Yeah. At that point in time, being honest, I just didn't know if I had it in me to fight this thing that was beating up on me, and I think that was driving a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah. So I got into counseling, and I tried a couple different counselors and did the thing where they put you on meds, and the meds made things worse. It was terrible. Some of the counselors, you feel like you go in there and you talk, and they're just writing shit down, and they're asking you the kind of the stereotypical questions, and they wanted to. I sound like I'm beating up on counseling. I'm not. They right away. I think it's work-related stuff. I think it's I wanted it to have some kind of a title because at least I know what I'm up against. And it was
but you're doing what we do, and you were trying to dictate the conditions of your therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'll tell you.
Let them counsel. That's their goddamn job, is to counsel.
Yeah.
And you being you or us being us is going, listen, man, I'll tell you why I'm here. I just need you to validate my feelings so that I can move on with my goddamn life and prove that, I was right.
6 or 8 of these visits, I'll be right as rain.
Right.
And
so it's kind of like me going into the ortho doc. Listen, I'll tell you what's wrong, and I'll tell you what I think it is.
Tell me what to stretch.
You just agree with me, and then we'll figure it out. Counseling probably doesn't work that way.
No, right away they hit on my childhood. You know, again, obviously,
every movie I've ever seen says it's this. That's bullshit.
So they right away though, they're like, "What was your childhood like?" And not not like, "Do you have daddy issues?" Right? I mean, yes, maybe objectively you could say yes, but they were like helping me walk down this path, taking me all the way back, and I did some EMDR, which was terrifying, where they have you follow these lights back and forth on this bar. And it does something to kind of help reorganize and unlock some things that you've hidden from yourself and your brain. Your brain is really good at taking things that are very damaging and kind of locking them away.
Forgetting about it,
in a sense. They're there, but they're just your brain.
It's like a volcano.
Yeah. So helping you kind of, make some of those connections and reorient your thinking and helping you address some of these things, bringing them back to the forefront. It's tough, but invaluable, right? Yeah. And they really helped me to appreciate this is not a thing where I was looking at a window of time that was this big, and I'm kind of making a very small, amount of space between my hands here. This was at this point 30 years of shit that I was not dealing with, and like, what did you expect? Not like throwing this back at my feet, going, "You dumb shit." But like, honestly, look at this. What did you think was going to happen with all this stuff? Right? It's just sitting there.
But we don't know.
You're dragging it along with you, right? If you imagine, I'm a person who hates clutter.
That stuff is life.
It is life.
And how do we know that it's just not more than that?
Well, this is how you know.
Yeah.
Right? When you find yourself in a spot where you are legitimately contemplating if those around you are better off without you in their life, I think that's how you know. That's how I knew.
Yeah.
So, I worked through these things, still working through them, and it's turning into a thing where bouncing around from counselor to counselor and finding one that really does get it. There's one particular practitioner that specializes with first responders, law enforcement, healthcare. He kind of gets it, and he really helped to...
Because he was a former public safety, I find a lot of that.
Yeah, I forget exactly what he's in practice with his father, and I forget if there's a direct tie or if this is just the area that they specialize in. But they're pretty well known, and that was kind of a turning point for me, where I felt like I had some control back.
Yeah,
I knew I could put some names to things.
And they're giving you tools.
They're giving me tools to cope. They're recommending things for me to read. They're encouraging me to re-explore my spirituality, to deal with these things that I have just been pushing aside. And one by one, opening these boxes, figuring out what to do.
And keep in mind, and so we're gonna stop this first section and then go to another one. So for the listeners, my phone only records in hour increments. You're going to hear the helicopter fly by, and then we're going to pick right back up where we left off. But the point I want to make is, just like alcohol rehab, and every alcoholic we've ever transported to the hospital, they always say the same thing. Well, take me here because the last time I went there and they didn't help me. Meaning, they gave me the tools, I just didn't do it.
Yeah,
right? Like, I didn't do shit at home.
Yeah.
So when your therapist gives you tools, it is now on you to go home and practice those things and to use those tools to your advantage. Not just keep showing up every week going, listen, man, I don't think this is working.
Right.
And they say, well, did you do X, Y, Z? And you're like, nah. Okay, well, here's why. Right? So that's...
Again, what did you expect?
Yes, that is a key point to this thing, is that anytime you're seeking help from somebody else, whether it's a nutrition coach or a fitness expert or a mental health expert, they're going to give you tools to use, and it is on you, just like it's on you to get on the goddamn treadmill. It's on you to use these tools at home, right? We can agree on that? All right, let's stop here real quick, and then we'll pick it back up. All right, here we go. So you're in therapy. They're giving you tools. You're coping.
Yep. So by this point in my career, I had been fortunate enough to kind of grow into the role as an instructor. And at this point, I also moved into a fire paramedic position. And I started to see things around me in a different way. And I started to kind of see some purpose take shape. Right? I knew that what I was doing was fine for the moment, being a firefighter paramedic. I enjoyed doing the work. I enjoyed the people I worked with for the most part. But I started to see some behaviors and some people around me that the fire service wasn't for me, right? So there was something else that I needed to do with my life, with my time. So I went back to school. I went to school, in an online capacity while I was working as a firefighter paramedic. And the city I worked for was fantastic. The tuition reimbursement to a certain degree, and they allowed you to work on school during your downtime. And I kind of started to look at, I love EMS. I love helping people, right? This is the version of that I get to help people in currently, but I used to joke around that I hate people, and it's not true, obviously. I wouldn't be in this job if I hated people. I don't like crowds. Crowds stress me out. Like you and I share that.
I joke about the same thing.
Yeah, in that I don't necessarily like those situations, but I love people. I have a heart.
I hate what people are capable of.
I do. Yeah, obviously, right. I have a heart for service, right? We're servant leaders. We're servants in our job. We're public servants, and I mean that word means something to me. In that submitting myself, my needs before, others' needs before my own, and to a healthy degree, right? Not to the unhealthy version that I had been fully entrenched in for the majority of my life to this point. So I wanted to do something that had a little more meaning for me. And education was something that I was good at. Again, I liked to talk to people. I liked to get up in front of others and bring them into my profession. That's how I viewed it. It's that ownership piece. So finished my undergraduate degree, finished my grad degree in a timely manner, sufficient to then transition to a full-time educator role and start here at the college. By this point, moved a couple times, had our daughter Nora. Feel like I'm doing a much better job of communicating with my wife, of really handling things in the moment when they need to be handled, doing less. I won't say none, doing less.
Are you still working EMS a little bit?
Yeah, I still work, fortunately. I was given an opportunity to be on a flight team.
This is back when you took the job.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Was still working part-time with this fire department.
Because really if you were basically working an 8 to 5 job, which means that you're sleeping now in your own bed much more often.
And working on my terms.
Yes, and that in itself is a huge... I can speak from my own. When I went from the every third day grind to the occasional 24 and the occasional night shift with more time off, my neighborhood really jokes about my schedule, about how I'm always home.
Sure.
Right? But what I've eliminated is a lot of time that I spent not sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah.
And what a difference that has made for me personally. I'm not saying it's the tool to deal with your bullshit on your job, but I'm saying it's certainly one of them.
Well,
right?
it doesn't help you by any stretch, right?
Yes. So you're sleeping in your own bed more. You're waking.
I'll be honest. It's not just the cliche saying. I really did feel like I was seeing the truer version of me.
Yeah.
I was able to see what I'm capable of. I didn't feel so tapped all the time. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was walking around at a 9.5 out of 10 stress-o-meter every single day.
We're always keyed up anyway.
Right.
Like our job, if you're at your job 80% of the time, you're keyed up.
Right.
I don't care if you're lounging on a Sunday at the station or not. There's something inside of you that's just, your RPMs are high.
I tell you, I tell my wife this, and people listening could agree. I feel like some of the most stressful days are when you go 24 hours without turning the wheel.
Yeah, because you know it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
You are never able to fully relax. You get that release when you finally get the call that you know is coming. You can go do it.
I'm going to do a 24 tomorrow. We're going to sit around. The typical template is I'll sit around all day, and then I'm going to go to bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to lay there and wait for them to call because you know it's coming.
Yeah, right.
And so by 7:30 the next morning, they may have never called, but by God, I'm going to sit there and wait for it.
Right.
So regardless if we're going to go on a flight or not, I'm going to lose a night of sleep.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
And doing that less is more.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine doing that every third day where you're losing a night of sleep? And then if you're on top of that, you're going to work your part-time job in between those, when one of those is a night shift.
Yep.
You set yourself up for failure.
Yeah, because even at home, and before I got my job with the college, I was working 24 hours as a firefighter paramedic, and then would go straight to my next part-time job. So I was really doing 36 hours.
And think about this, right? Yes.
Yeah, and then you go home and you're like, well, you got a night's sleep. Bullshit, I did get a night's sleep because I'm laying there in bed going,
did you go on a call in the middle of the night? Well, no. Well, then, you must have got some sleep.
Yeah. And
it's not rest.
And I'm going to go home and sleep before my next shift. I'm not sleeping. I'm thinking about going to work tomorrow.
No. And if you have to sleep in the middle of the day, it's going to be medication induced.
Yeah.
I used to take Benadryl naps, we call them, and they're terrible.
Right.
I don't do it anymore.
It's not sleep.
No. And you wake up feeling shittier.
Sedation.
And then, yes. And that's the thing. Like,
Right.
I was working so much that I had downers to go to bed and uppers to go to work, basically. Not street drugs. Prescription medication.
Because a doctor prescribed it, it's not a street drug. You're still doing the same.
They probably all had street versions of themselves.
Yeah.
But the point is that, so I don't do any of that anymore. I don't take any drugs, but I'll go through these periods where I sleep really good at my home at night for weeks, and then I'll have periods where I'm not sleeping well at home.
Sure.
And they're random. They come and go, and I panic, but that does physiologically play a role.
Absolutely. You have more capacity to just live life.
Yes.
Right. So, so working part-time as a firefighter paramedic, but I'm now full-time at the college, and I get to sort of call the shots in a lot of ways. This institution is fantastic in that it allows the professionals to do their jobs. It allowed me to shape the programs into what I knew they needed to be from somebody who had just come through it in a way.
So there's a national curriculum. There's some shit you got to teach.
Yeah.
And then there's some, I was going to ask you about this because when you and I went to paramedic school, the one thing they never taught us, and maybe they just didn't know, was how to live it. So they never said, right. They told us how to fix things. But not one time did we listen to anybody talk and go, hey, listen, you're going to be tired as fuck. You're going to be crabby. You're going to be nourished. You're going to have an irregular sleep schedule, and so you're going to serve people, and you're going to do it. And you're going to get paid shit, and
ramping up the excitement.
Right, but you're giving back to your community. You're serving other people.
Yeah.
They don't tell you what the trade-off is.
No, there's this altruistic picture that they paint for you. And that, that's true, right? But it's not the whole story.
No.
Right? There's
so little of it.
Yes. And to your point.
And we went to college we did this program for a whole year of college.
Yeah.
Right? Like this was a 1 year, we went on the accelerated program. So it's a 2-year program. We went in and said, fuck, I ain't got that kind of time. Right. I'll do it in a year. Yeah. So now we're already ramping up the pressure, right? Because both of us at the time, I was newly married. In the middle of school, I needed to provide for my family.
Yeah.
My wife married a project.
As most wives do.
Right? Yeah. There's no way that I was a catch when she says, sure. I'll marry you. Yeah. But I think she saw what I was going to be. And I think for a lot of women, that's a big draw, right? They're like, this guy's a project.
Yeah.
He's going to do something. It could have went so bad.
Sure.
But the point of it is that they never told us what the trade-off was.
Right. Yeah, and to your point, the curriculum, we're going to get 300 pages on trauma. Again, justifiably so.
Sure.
But when it comes to how do you make sure that the one tool that makes all the difference in your ability to do your job is you.
Yes.
How we take care of it. Right.
How do we avoid burnout?
Yeah, there's 6 pages.
Yes.
And when you're
we joked it was the food pyramid
that
the government decided,
like the obligatory statements of get good exercise, get lots of sunlight,
make sure you take a nap and go to bed at normal times.
Okay.
And thanks.
You're not helping. Just go ahead and get rid of those. But because the state says it has to be there, it has to be there. So, but we can do a better job, right?
Yes,
so that's what we did with our program in particular, and surrounded by a team of instructors. That some I inherited in the position, and some I was able to thankfully recruit like-minded people that are going through a lot of the same things or have gone through a lot of the same things, because my story is not unique.
No.
People listening to this, you listening across the table from me, there are elements of this that are absolutely the same between us, right? Because we're all doing the same thing, so that lends itself naturally to This is a broadly applicable experience.
But we think it's unique.
Well,
we
sure.
think we're special.
Well,
and I don't want to bother Dustyn, even though I probably really should talk to another dude right now about this, but I don't want to bother Dustyn, so I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah. So we do. We present to the ability that we can the whole truth to these students. And, we bring them on an EMT program that turns over every 15 weeks, so we have limited time with them because we have to cover a lot. But it's something as simple as, this piece of paper that I put in front of, students, because we bring in students, we teach EMT in the high schools, we teach, traditional learners, college students. And I've been accused sometimes of trying to scare away students. And if that's the lens that they see this through, fine. I'm okay with that. Because I want people to know. I want them to fully understand what they're signing up for. Because it is all of these things that the public see us as, that we understand is our daily calling, but it's also this other stuff, right? And that if you don't do a good job of being on top of this other stuff, this kind of the silent curriculum, if you will, you're not going to last very long. You're not going to be happy. You're going to potentially put yourself in harm's way. And so we put this piece of paper in front of them and says, look, this is what it means to do this job, right? You might find yourself in the middle of a domestic dispute where there's been intentional trauma to a child, right? That's the ugliness of this, right? And we talk.
Somebody's going to hand you a dead baby.
At some point in your career, you're going to see some of the worst things that people can inflict upon other people, right? And so when those things happen, right? Here's this piece of paper of all the things at this job, and while you're in my care as the person that was overseeing that program at the time, these are the things that I'm going to expose you to the possibility of, purposefully, right? And that when I put you in the field setting, I put you in the clinical setting, you are going to be in physical harm's way and in mental harm's way, right? But here, accompanying that is the toolkit. We're going to bring in mental health professionals as part of the curriculum. We are going to track these experiences that you have, and our tracking software that we use for clinicals, there's a little, it's a sentinel event, right? And it's designed, I think, by the manufacturer's idea to, for needle sticks or for, weird things that happen. But we kind of twist that a little bit. And I would see a sentinel event being handed a dead baby, right? That's a significant moment in your education. That's a significant moment in your life, right? Damn, being a student, you're a person, right? We are not hardwired to be in the presence of these horrific things and come away unscathed, right? We talk about this in our last conversation. We have a finite number of examples of calls in our lives that we're going to run as providers. I don't know what that number is. For me, it's different for you, right? But it's not this thing that just goes on and on and on and on, off into the sunset, right? So while you're here, keep yourself in that top performance state by dealing with these things in the moment, right? And it's not a one and done. It's a deal with it now. And then you and I both know that there's these recurring things that kind of pop up, and you're like, hey, as I'm processing through this flood of emotions hit me a week after. Let's talk about it, right? We make automatic referrals to the institution's counselors, and it's an automatic thing where if I see that, Jason, you're in my EMT program and you had this horrific event happen, I'm automatically referring you to counseling. We're going to normalize talking to somebody, reaching out and expressing a need, which is not something that it's innate in our provider. We're the helpers. We don't get help. We're the ones providing the assistance. We bring the calm to the chaos, right? But who helps us when we're feeling chaotic?
And I think that people need to realize, too, sometimes when we finish that one, right? Like, this is what got me a few weeks ago. Probably a few months ago. We're going to finish the dead baby call, okay? But I still got 18 hours in my shift, okay? There's a chance I'm going to get another dead baby call.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't talk about that. We have to say, all right, listen, this was terrible. I did this. I don't really know. It was a bad deal. Now I got to sit with that and wait for the next one, which could be just as bad or worse,
right?
Or maybe in a 24-hour shift. And so the question gets to be, where is the line? Meaning, it's probably different for men and women. when we just say, hey, listen, I got to suck this up because I got 18 hours left in my shift. 2, well, now wait a minute. I need to take a minute here. I don't know what to do right now. I need to tell somebody something because I don't know that on my next call I'm going to be as resilient as I am on this one. There's something going on. You understand what I'm trying to articulate?
Yeah.
Is it relative to the individual? Is there a hard stop? Is it a oh shit, man, Jason does not seem like he's doing well, and that guy is mostly stoic all the time.
Yeah.
Do I say, hey man, are you okay? Or like,
yeah, I think you do. I think that's exactly what
is that. But it sounds so simple when everybody's like, I don't know. Did you ask him how he was doing? No, I didn't ask him how he was doing.
No, this goes back to the point I discussed earlier of like when we notice these things, like people, we're all pretty good at reading body language, and you work around somebody, especially in our nature, our field rather. You work with a lot of the same people. You get to know their personality traits, and you know when somebody's off, right? Yeah. But there's this thing that's like, if I ask him how he's doing, am I really ready for the floodgates to open?
But you probably know what the answer is. Hey man, you okay? Yep, fine.
Well, yeah, that's not the answer. That's a lie.
That's what I'm saying.
We tell ourselves.
And so then we talk about, well, why would I ask him? He's just going to tell me he's okay. And so what good is it going to do for me? Yeah. Well, I tried. I asked the guy if he was okay, and he said he was fine. Now look at him. Right. He's in the fetal position, crying on the floor right now, and I don't know what the fuck to do. Somebody, are we out of service or not?
Well, unless I'm carrying him along.
Somebody needs to tell me how to manage this right now, right? And we don't do it.
Yeah, and we give a lot of lip service to that help part of our job. But I think the answer is yes. You're not going to be good at it, right? But as you and I have spent, the last hour and a half here talking, this is what it looks like. This is what it can look like. Yeah. People that are willing to say, you know what? No, I'm not okay. I don't understand the way that I'm feeling. I'm feeling something right now, and it's kind of confusing for me, and in some ways maybe it's scary for me. But no, I'm not okay. Can I make it through the rest of the shift? I think so, but let's keep checking up on each other. Let's be honest with each other. And if I got brain fog and I just cannot organize my thoughts. I had a moment where I was sitting in the station when I was working as a firefighter paramedic. I'm sitting there, and it's a mundane day. We haven't done a thing all damn day. And my heart rate goes through the roof. And I legitimately start to hyper. I was like, what in the hell? I was having a legitimate panic attack. And again, we've run these. How many panic attacks have you run in your career?
Lots.
And you're like, oh my God, right? Get it together.
Jesus. Slow your breathing down.
Exactly. Your hands are tingling, your face is numb.
Yes, all you got to do is slow your breathing down. It's just that goddamn simple.
Figure it out, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. This is it, man. Like, this is the legitimate side of this world. And talk about it. Hey, you're my partner. You and I are on the squad today. You and I are on the aircraft today. I owe it to you. We would all agree we owe it to the patients, right? But I owe it to you to not put more burden on you because I have no idea what you're dealing with, right? And so that's even some of the fear that we have is, well, I'm sure Jason's got his own shit he's dealing with. I'm not going to lay mine on top of his because that's not fair. But man, that's not always how it has to be. It's not this zero-sum thing where all my problems now are your problems, right? We can talk through this stuff and share some commonality and at least maybe feel like you're not as isolated and alone and as much of a pariah as you feel like you are.
And then you got the corporate version of, well, I don't want to burden my boss. Or now all of a sudden we got to call in another crew. Yeah. Or now all of a sudden our vendor's going to be pissed off because we're out of service and some asshole's losing an incentive bonus or whatever because of me just basically being a bitch. And the cascade of events that leads to that. Like, and I think the other thing we need to talk, I think we need to stop beating each other up about being pansies, right? Like that's a big thing where I think the stigma of, like, I don't know how to express my feelings, Dustyn. I really don't. I know that there's things that I feel that are abnormal, sometimes out of context. But the last thing I'm going to do is call you and be like, hey, listen, man, I feel this. And for no other reason other than, well, I'll just find something to do and it'll pass. Yeah. Like if I give me a focus and a structure and a purpose, well, then I don't have to worry about it, right?
But I think in my example demonstrates.
Yes,
that again,
that's the point.
It's a fallacy.
And so the point is that I was going to ask you last time, and you've answered these questions greatly. Like, how is your program different from other paramedic programs?
Yeah.
And what is the curriculum missing? The curriculum is missing wellness, well-being,
Right.
mental well-being.
A meaningful well-being.
Right. And not lips or not the
Right.
corporate, well, make sure you go for walks and make sure that you clear your mind and make sure
Take
that
a daily vitamin.
Yeah, eat shit. Right? Like, but like we all understand what the world is full of basically the same shit. How do I lose weight? Well, you don't eat so much and you get on the goddamn treadmill. Mostly that you don't eat so much.
Right.
And but it's $1 billion industry,
Yeah.
and it's just that simple. You just don't eat so much, right? Here's the tool: don't stuff your face with shit all the time, and go for a walk. That's the formula, real basic. Filled with Instagram, people telling you the same shit, just different way. But mental wellness, right? Okay, so I'm not doing that lip service. I'm saying physical wellness, meaning that you are living physically and metabolically to your best potential, is also $1 billion industry, but it seems like a lot of talk and no solution.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
they're all saying the same shit.
Yeah. You can equate it too. You know, you pull a muscle, or you tear a tendon or a ligament or something.
There's a protocol.
Well, you're just not going to walk around and be like, oh, it'll probably go away. It's literally not going to get better. You can try to live the cleanest version of what life looks like after a torn rotator cuff, but you're not the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to be functioning at the same level unless you approach the professional who's capable of helping you put it back together again. Put your life back together again.
I used to think, and I mentioned it before, and I don't know, so what's the metric of, have you avoided a suicide attempt? Have you avoided therapy? Does that mean you're doing well? I don't think that that's true, right? But what I do think is we as each other need to stop, if we're doing it, we need to stop it. Basically badgering the people that are getting that kind of help, right? Like my neighbor is a former state trooper. He is it? I didn't know. It didn't matter. Everybody's story is their own. Was seeking therapy and reads these chat places on Facebook and whatever. And he was telling me the story the other day. Inevitably, there's always one asshole on there going, "You need to sack up, man, and just be a man and quit being a bitch, and just do your job and do your thing and be a man." And I'm kind of for some of that, right? Like a little bit of it is. Some of it, we need a little intestinal fortitude, and we need to say that life's not always going to be it's going to be hard. Do hard things. I'm all for doing hard shit. Yeah. Ice bath, whatever. Yeah. I'm all for doing hard shit.
Sure.
But there comes a point before it gets too far, Dustyn, before you're sitting on the Saylorville Dam with a fucking gun in your lap going, like, we need to start somewhere before it gets to that point.
I'm going to use your words against you here a little bit, maybe.
Please do it.
In that, two points to the trolls that want to spin this around. I think there's a large part of that's driven by avoiding. Right?
Yeah.
There's things in their lives that they're not addressing. I would bet money on it. I made the mistake of letting other people dictate my value.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought I wasn't hitting the mark based on these arbitrary assumptions of what other people thought I should be, which really put me in a bad spot. You said do hard things. I think this fits squarely within that category. Do hard things. Do the hard work.
Admitting that you need somebody else to help you.
Do the hard work of submitting yourself to the assistance of somebody else.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, Jason, as I even look back at my own example, I grew up living off of other people. We live in other people's homes because my parents, underemployed or unemployed, that sucked. Yeah. Right? I vowed I was never going to need somebody else ever again in my life. I was going to do it. Right? And at the time, I was going to be financially stable. I was going to be successful. And you paint this picture as a kid of what it's like to be successful, not needing other people's handouts. Right? What I didn't appreciate was how that crept its way into literally every other aspect of my life. Yes. And in this example, mental preparedness, the tools to be able to deal with stuff that we were never intended, and I mean that in every meaning you can way you can draw conclusions from that. Never intended to do this alone, ever, right? So, do the hard work, lean into the shit that sucks, right? Because it's not going away. And submit yourself to the professionals that are capable. Invest in relationships. People matter, right? You matter to me. You're my friend. And we've been friends for a long time. And I told you this in the last conversation. Every time I get to see you on a call, I see you in the hospital, I get excited. Like, you mean a lot to me. We don't talk every day. We don't hang out, but it doesn't matter, because this conversation and the previous conversation demonstrates that those connections are still there.
Sure.
Right. I've got a lot of versions of you in my life. Right. And I haven't done a great job of even living by my own words. And I was reminded of that in the recent passing of Chris Petrick. Yeah. Fantastic friend. A few days before he passed, he called me, and I wasn't doing shit. I sent him a voicemail.
Oh, man.
God, that haunts me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he was great at this. If there was one thing Petrick was fantastic at, a lot of things, you never questioned where you were in his life as far as value.
Yeah.
He did not give a shit about appearances or optics. If you mattered to him, he told you. Right? So that's something that recently is something I draw on frequently.
I remember when he got hired to our flight team, I called him out of nowhere. We never had a relationship, really. I know him because we worked together, and he was always a good dude. We'll take a minute to reflect on Chris. But I remember when he got hired on our flight team, I called him and I said, "Hey, man, welcome. Like, this is great. I have no other interest in this phone call other than telling you, welcome. I think you're going to do a great job." And that was the end of the conversation. I think we lend itself to each other to just reach out every now and then. And one thing I started doing, not near it, is if you go back to my episode on building habits, how hard it is to fucking build habits.
Right.
I was starting these text messages where I was just like, "Hey man, just checking in. Hope all is well.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing from you.
Right.
I'm not looking for a play date. I'm not looking for a barbecue. I'm not looking for a loan. I just want to know that you're doing well." Yeah. And I would send maybe 10 of those out and get maybe 2 back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Like, I hope that doesn't mean you're not doing well and you don't want to you're not sharing that with me, or maybe our relationship doesn't mean as much. The point of the story is,
it's not transactional though, right? Like, yeah, you're not looking for anything.
I'm not looking. Yeah. I just want to know that you're doing well, and I think that the point of that is that we have to do better. Like, if there's a tool in the toolbox, the tool is this: check in on your people.
Yeah.
Right? That's the start. Number one. Because you don't know what you don't know. There's unspoken expectations that we're all just walking around here doing real good. Mm-hmm. Because we're acting happy, or we're seemingly happy. Yeah. But that may not be the truth.
Well, and be willing to redefine good.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. Financially, I'm stable. Right? I'm doing the things that the 10-year-old Dustyn wanted for his life. Yeah. In that sense. Now, in the moment, we're doing well. I'm doing well right now. I'm not at the need of other people. I'm supporting, my wife and I are supporting our family. We have a home. We have cars. I've got a fantastic job. I'm getting to do a life that I understand is privileged in all the ways you can even take that word to mean. In that I get to perform medicine at the highest level in our profession with some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. Yeah. Right? I get to traverse the state in a form of healthcare that feels good, right? And then we talked about this in the last conversation. Like, I even told someone, on our team here, "Are you ever going to quit, doing that?" God, I hope not. Yeah. And it's honestly, it feels a little bit like it's recharging my batteries in some ways. I work a Monday through Friday job here, and I just flew Saturday and Sunday, right? 2 12-hour shifts, and we did 2 decently stressful transports each day. But it's fulfilling. Got to be careful, meter it, right? Yeah. Pay attention at home when the barometer starts to kind of indicate that you're spending too much time away from the house. Your kids are not coming to you as frequently as they are. You feel that disconnect between me and my wife. We talk about this better now because of my whole story that she has walked alongside me through. We've gotten very good at just calling things as they are, and she's always been good at that. She just calls it a spade is a spade.
Yeah.
There's something up with you, and don't you dare tell me it's nothing. Because she works in healthcare, so I have that advantage as well. She knows. She was kind of chaps my ass, but she's been an EMT longer than I have.
Yeah.
So she gets it. Not everyone's that privileged. I understand that. But be willing to submit yourself even there. When someone calls out, hey, you know what? You're not okay. And I just need you. Maybe I just need you to know that I know.
Yeah.
Put the pressure back on them.
I'm trying to get better at my house too, and I'm not. Like, I don't talk about work. I come home. She says, "How was your shift?" I said, "It was uneventful. I could have had 3 dead babies."
Yeah.
Like, and she would never know. Or, "What's wrong?" "I'm tired." That's the general answer. Is almost always, "I'm tired."
We're all tired. Jason.
We're all fucking tired. Like, it's just how we live, and, but I'm not going to let that dictate my day. Like, there's work to do. I got shit to do around here.
Yeah.
Point of that is I'm trying to be more intentional with, hey, listen, I just need 15 or 20 more minutes. I know that I just drove home from work and I was disconnected, and it would seem like that would be enough, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in here. And what really changed my outlook is like my perception and my expectation of the home that I was coming home to after a shift was terribly unfair, right? Like, there's no fucking way that with as many kids as I have, that I was going to come home to a quiet, clean, and I don't mean clean as in dusted and vacuum. I mean just organized, right, with a refrigerator full of fucking food.
Right.
Like, there was just zero chance. But every time I did, I was always disappointed because that's not the level that anybody could perform to.
Sure.
And now, because I have all this time off, now I have 2 days off, I have time to put my house in order, fill that fridge full of food. And so when I'm gone on my 24, I always thought, well, shit, she'll just do it. Like, it'll be fine. Like, no, we're two different people.
Yeah.
Like, we're not the same for good reason.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time because every time I come home, it was the same fucking thing. It was like loud chaos, messy bullshit. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I have to let that go a little bit. And if you listen to my Building Habits episode, it's not easy. It has to be intentional. Like, my downtime now is intentional. I get up early in the morning to intentionally sit quietly with a cup of coffee because that is going to be my only time that day that I get to do that.
Yeah.
And once it's over, it's gone.
Yeah.
The expectation now is shit's going to get real crazy around here, and I better keep up.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, because that's what the day dictates. I'll go to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's work. Tomorrow, my work is not today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that we get there with different reasons, for different things, like in different ways. But the importance is that we get there.
Yeah.
And that you are, in your job and your profession, starting the conversation early. I'm gonna give you a little trick here, Timmy. It sounds fun, and it is fun, and it is rewarding and fulfilling. But, just like I tell my kids, it's fucking cold outside. You know how I learned that? Because I didn't have a coat one day.
Yeah.
And you're going to go outside, apparently without a goddamn coat. I just told you it's real cold, and you're going to tell me you're fine.
Yeah.
Because they do it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how I learned how to put a coat on? I got cold ones too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to prevent you from getting cold again.
Yeah.
No.
And it may not land for everybody the same way, right?
I
But
know.
I think I would end by again kind of pointing out something that's important to you in physical fitness, right? You talk about this in a lot of your episodes. You wouldn't dare go some heavy lift, and I'm not in your world as CrossFit, without working up to it.
Yeah.
It takes time to build that muscle, that technique. To one day you'll be better at lifting that, but then you're not going to stop there. Well, I did the thing, I just quit.
Yeah.
You're going to pursue the next level of that physical readiness, fitness level.
And just like
right?
anything else in the world, consistency rules the world. So you have to be consistent.
Do hard things.
Yes.
Do the hard things here, right? And you're not going to be good at it at first. You're going to be weak at it. And I was very weak in this area, but I've gotten stronger as I've been consistent and maintained the discipline and been willing to, even on the days where I slip, not beat myself up, right? Move on, right? So, to kind of take your own advice here and just do hard things.
I will end with two things. One is that there's more to come with us. Like, this won't be the last time we talk
Sure.
on a podcast, I hope.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good shit. Number one, if you're getting trolled on the internet because you're looking for health, they can fuck off. They're probably the same people that don't put their shopping cart back in the cart return. They're just looking for a way to make their shitty life better, and they're going to pick on you to do it, right? So when I went back to my friend who got, that guy's a loser, eat shit. You can contact me if you think otherwise. Number 2, I said this once before on, I think, the podcast I tried to save from the last one. If you've ever seen a person in life doing what they are supposed to do, and the joy that comes from looking at them and watching them and talking about them, you are that guy. Wow. Like, you are doing what you were put on this earth for, and it is fun to watch. Like, it is fun to listen to. It's fun to interact with. I hope more people are doing what they're supposed to do, because it's fucking amazing.
Well, it's been a long road, and it's, obviously I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've been fortunate to be around people that are willing to forgive me and lift me up and kind of put me back on the right track.
We'll stop at this. Where's your relationship with God right now?
Boy, that's amazing. It's never been healthier. Good. And even in that, like, my daughter's getting baptized in a few weeks, and I can't wait for her. My son was baptized when he was, a little bit younger than her. So I think by no other metric or no other measurement of where I'm at now, helping lead my children into a relationship with God at where it's at now, and just watching that grow, that helps keep me accountable, in that I've told them this is important. And we've talked about this before, words and actions, right? That singular thing in my life maybe keeps me on target more than anything. Yeah. In that they're looking at me now as two almost young adults, going, he says these things are important, but is he demonstrating that to us that they're important? So that's my faith drives me, keeps me accountable, is giving me the strength to even talk about hard stuff. Right? That's okay to talk about these things, because it's not by my own merit, my own grit, any of those things, that I'm able to do the things that I'm doing.
I came up with a new tattoo idea because of this conversation. I'll share it with it some other day, maybe after I get it, but it's a pretty good idea. Yeah. I'm not going to let you get out of here without one of these. You send your students to do ride-alongs with our flight services in town, and we love it. And I'll say this: if you want them to see what a helicopter looks like on the roof, send them to your place of business. If you want to give helicopter tours, if you want them to get some patient interaction and some time in the air, please keep sending them to us.
That's fair. I wish the other bases for the service that I fly for had aircraft with 3 chairs in them, but they don't. So, that program's amazing. Mike Schultz came on with us for the second cohort that we're doing the pinning for tonight. Super excited to let people see that side of this job, and to help them just continue pursuing their passions.
Listen, man, I know you got it at 11 o'clock. We're gonna get going. This won't be the last time you hear from us. So thanks for sitting down with me. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your story. I didn't realize it was going to get so raw, but I'm glad it did. Yeah. And I think this version was, I know the first version was real goddamn good, but I think this version was good too.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
All right, man. See ya.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. Whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. At talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined how well this podcast has been received. So As always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.